ASU's Children's Equity Project is a child policy center dedicated to advancing equity in all systems that serve children and their families. The group recently released a report titled Start with Equity Arizona. And for more on what the report looked at and what it found, we welcome Dr. Shantel Meek. She's a founding executive director of the Children's Equity Project. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Give me a better definition of a Children's Equity Project.
We're basically we're a center at ASU that focuses on all of the policies and systems that impact the lives of kids and families. We really focused on three things. The first piece is access. How is families' access to childcare, to early care and education? It's difficult and it's not working for families. What we found is that infant-toddler childcare, for example, is more expensive than in-state tuition in the state. And so that's one piece, right? Families are having a hard time affording care. The second piece is it's not working for kids. The quality of care that's happening is subpar. And a lot of the standards that the state has with respect to what happens inside of the classroom falls below best practice, falls below a number of other states in the nation. And so kids aren't getting the rich learning experiences that we know they need in the years before kindergarten. The third point, it's not working for the workers who are the childcare providers and the early educators. We know that they're making near poverty wages. And so wages, compensation, mental health, we looked at a number of areas with the folks who are actually providing the services to kids and families and found that it's not working for them.
What is seen in marginalized communities and what's the difference there? There's always a difference, it seems like. Yeah. I'm sure there's a difference here.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of our work focuses on kids and families from historically marginalized communities, children of color, children with disabilities, children who speak languages other than English at home. And so we looked at the whole landscape, in particular with these kids in mind. And what we found is that all of the system shortfalls impact all kids, but it impacts these kids most of all. It impacts Black children, Indigenous children, Latinos. It impacts kids who are learning English alongside whatever their home language is, mostly Spanish and Navajo in this state. It impacts kids with disabilities a lot. And so we see in a number of different policy areas, these kids and their particular needs, because they do have unique needs, are left out of policy altogether in a lot of different areas. And so these systemic shortfalls in funding, in policy, impact these kids the most.
How do you research something like that? This sounds pretty all-encompassing here, but it's got to be difficult to canvas out there, I would think.
Absolutely. I mean, I think a part of it is this is a big area of research nationally. And so we took the Arizona context. We took Arizona data from kids and families and programs in this state and looked at the rest of the country, right? There's a number of other research centers that look and rank states on a number of these different indicators. For example, a center out of New Jersey at Rutgers publishes an annual yearbook for pre-K access. Arizona is 44th out of 45th in access to pre-K. Arizona is in the bottom 15% in the number of quality indicators for programs and classrooms in the state. And so we really knitted those pieces together.
And obviously those are things that you would like to see addressed. It needs to be. Okay, that's the bad stuff. Is Arizona doing well in any of these rubrics, any of these categories?
There are some bright spots, certainly, and we maintain the early care and education providers, the folks running these programs, the folks working with kids are doing the best they can with the resources they have available. I would say early childhood mental health systems is a bright spot for the state. The state has invested and has prioritized children's mental health to an extent. But I would say broadly, there are more shortfalls than there are bright spots, unfortunately. But with that, a lot of opportunity for improvement.
With that in mind, let's say I'm a politician, I'm a policymaker here. What do you tell me? What is the overriding priority? What needs to get done? I'll tell you, can't do everything at once.
Yeah.
Get me on the right path.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the underlying problems has been chronic underfunding of the system, period. So yes, we need money. We need more money. We need more investment at a time when the rest of the country and many other states have increased their funding. Arizona has either flat funded or decreased funding. We need to get back on path with everybody else if we want to have the types of systems and opportunities that everybody else has, one. But two, not everything costs money. A lot of it is policy and aligning policy with best practice. I'll give you an example when I keep talking about quality. Imagine, do you have children?
Yeah, no, I don't have children, but I'm around them a lot.
You're around them a
Yes.
lot, right? Grandchildren, work with kids. In the state of Arizona, the ratios, what we call adult-to-child ratios, are off. So you can have one adult with 8 2-year-olds. So if you could just imagine, if you know a 2-year-old, how much time, attention, love, engagement that 2-year-old needs. There's lots of brain science that has found that these early years of development, kids need interaction. They, even before they start talking, right? They do utterances, they do gestures, they need a snack, they need their bottle, and as they grow, right, they need that interaction to develop and grow. When you are one person with 8 2-year-olds,
right, your
ability to do that well is difficult. And so we have a set of national standards. For example, the federal government's Head Start program has a 1-to-4 ratio for this age group. The American Academy of Pediatrics similarly has a 1-to-4 ratio. Arizona's is 1-to-8. So that's one clear example where we're just not aligned in policy with best practice and with research.
Sounds like a good place to start. Dr. Shantel Meek, ASU's Children's Equity Project. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.